So good day everyone. I will be your teacher for today. So we will be going to discuss motor behavior, motor control, motor development, and motor learning. So before I will start the discussion, so please let me read the class objective. So our class objectives: at the end of the lesson, students shall be able to A. Know what is the motor behavior, B. Differentiate the 5 characteristics of motor learnings, and C. Sketch an example of motor skill. Motor behavior. So what is motor behavior? Motor behavior is a study of how you produce movements. Types of movements: gait, balance, flexes, twitching, grasping. In motor behavior, there are psychological and neurophysiological investigations that are divided into 3 disciplines: motor control, motor development, and motor learnings. So in motor control is the study of postures and movements and the mechanisms that underlie them. Also, motor control can be defined as the study of how an individual can execute neuromuscular controls process in response to external environment's demands. So in motor development refers to development of a child's bones, muscles, and abilities to move around and manipulate his or her environment. Motor development can be divided into 2 sections: gross motor development and fine motor development. A gross motor development involves the development of a large muscles in a child's body. These muscles allow us to sit, stand, walk, and run, among others activity. B. Fine motor development involves the small muscles of the body, especially in the hands. Motor development also involves how will children muscles work. This is referred to as muscle tone. Children needs a balanced muscle tone in order to develop their muscles and use them with ease when standing, sitting, rolling, walking, running, swimming, and all other postures and actions. So motor development also involves the child's vestibular and proprioceptive system. Both of these are part of the child's sensory system. The vestibular system is located in inner and allows the body to maintain balance. The proprioceptive systems involve the inner ear, the muscles, joints, and tendons. It allows the body to understand where it's located. Maintaining the balanced posture and having coordinated movements are only possible if the proprioceptive system is functioned well. Motor learning. So what is motor learning? Has been defined as a set of internal processes associated with a practice or experience leading to relatively permanent change in the capability for skills behavior. In other words, motor learning is when complex processes in the brain occur in response to practice or experience of a certain skills, resulting in changes in the central nervous system that allow the productions of a new motor skill. Next is there are 3 stages in which motor learning occurs. In the first stage, cognitive stage, during the essential stage of motor learning, the goal is to develop an overall understanding of the skill. The learner must be determined the objective of the skill is and begin to the process environmental factors that will affect their ability to produce the skill. The teacher must be their best to provide an optimal environment for learners, which may mean removing large distractors. During this stage, the learner mostly relies on visual input and trial and error to guide learnings. Example: before a child masters walking, he will most likely look a bit awkward and will definitely stumble a few times. The reality is that the process of learning how to walk begins way before your child actually takes their first assisted or independent step. as they have been visually observing others around them, walking and beginning to understand the purpose. So while they may look clumsy during the stage of learning, they are only just beginning to transitions from understanding the skills of executing it. So next is the associated stage. During this stage, the learner begins to demonstrate a more refined movements through practice. Now that the learner has had some practice and has identified various stimuli that may occur, they can focus on how to do, moving on from the what to do in the first stage. Third, visual become less important and proprioceptive become very important. Proprioceptive cause refers to the learner focusing more on how their body is moving in space and what input is being felt from their joints and muscles. The more practice, the more proprioceptive input the learners receive to aid the learning. Therefore, the more the practice, the better. Example, let's continue with the walking. During the initial clumsy stage, the child may demonstrate small, choppy step, wide base of support, arms up high in a guarded positions, and a little to no trunk rotation. In this stage, you will see your child taking longer, more controlled step, narrowing their base of support, and allowing their arms to relax at their side. This behavior indicates that your child has moved past the initial stage of learning and has progressed to a more refined movements. The next stage is autonomous stage. During this final stage of learning, the motor skills become mostly automatic progressions. To this level of learning allows the learners to perform skills in any environment with very little cognitive involvement compared to the first stage. Example of this is your child will now be able to walk in a predictable environment such as your home or your unpredictable environment such as a crowded birthday party at the park on grass without difficulty. So we are going to the 5 characteristics of motor learnings. Number 1, the motor learnings is an internal process that cannot be observed from the external perspective. This means that how much an athlete has learned is an unknown factor from an outsider's perspective because motor learnings takes place inside the learner's brain and the muscular movements are only a reflections of a brain activities. Observing motor performance provides only an indirect assessment of the learning progress of a learners. Motor learning is a set of processes for the purpose of reaching specific learning objectives. Obviously, different types of learnings will be produced, different results and sports. Scientists continuously search for the best motor learning process of particular motor skills based on individuals' differences. The goal of motor learning is to form the designate motor behavior habits through proper training. Once a motor skill is learned, it becomes relatively permanent and will not be easily forgotten. For example, once an individual has learned how to ride a bike, he/she will never forget how to do it. According to the Wang and Yang 2012, motor learning is not a value-free and it can be negative to form a bad habit that is extremely hard to be changed once it is formed. What is motor performance? Motor performance is an end result of outcomes of executing a motor skills that can be observed from an external perspective. So that's all for today. So did you understand our class discussion? Very good. So please prepare because I will give you a class activity.